You're listening to the Vibrant Vision Podcast, a podcast designed to help you get clarity, increase your confidence, and cultivate the most important connections so you can have the impact you were created to make. I'm your host, Amanda Kerrigan. Now let's get to making that vibrant vision a reality. Hey there, welcome back to the Vibrant Vision Podcast. This is episode 18, and today we are talking about procrastination. I told you we were going to launch this series last week. We're launching it this week, and we're actually starting out this series with another confidence killer, and that is I'm not ready yet. It's one of the biggest things that I hear from people when they start to move into the action phase of our coaching conversation, and it's all of a sudden it's like, whoa, wait, I'm not ready yet. When I shared this new series with my sister, she's like, oh, I'm a pro at procrastination. I put the pro in procrastination. And if you feel the same way, like you have mad procrastination skills, this series is dedicated to you. So let's talk about I'm not ready yet. I hear this a lot with my entrepreneur clients. I generally coach women entrepreneurs, and it happens when they're ready to take their business to the next step. So maybe they're just launching their business and it's asking that first person who you think is going to be a great client for their business. I'm not ready yet. Or maybe they need to cultivate a power partnership. Maybe having a host for a podcast. It's not something that I'm doing right now, but it is something that I've had clients do before. And it's like, whoa, I'm not ready to ask that person to be my power partner in my business. Or maybe it's launching a new service, a new coaching package, or a new course or a new group coaching. And it's like, wait, I have to figure out the back end before I can actually tell people that I'm doing this group coaching thing. Or maybe it's raising their fees. It's like, nobody's going to buy that. Nobody's going to pay that. I'm not ready to raise my fees. And there are lots of ways that I'm not ready shows up that frankly seem pretty legit, right? Like they seem legitimate. So let's talk about those. I'll do this once I look a certain way. I hear this a lot when people are talking about making videos or doing public speaking or something that requires a high amount of visibility. And I remember reading a Rolling Stone article about Meghan Trainor right when she was starting her rise to fame, and she just released her single All About That Bass. And she thought, no one sees me as an artist because I don't look good enough. And if Meghan Trainor thought that, it's no surprise that mere mortals like us are saying some kind of version of that. Nobody sees me as fill in the blank because I don't look a certain way. Nobody sees me as a doctoral candidate because I don't look like I belong here. Nobody sees me as a coach because I don't look like I have my act together. And I'm here to tell you, every interview is perfect from the bottom to the top, like Meghan Trainor said. And so you are ready. And most people are too busy looking at the reflection in the mirror than they are looking at your face anyway, because they want to hear what you have to say more than they want to look and say, oh, well, she doesn't look like a coach. Frankly, I don't look like a coach if I look in the mirror. But I know that I'm called to do this. I know that I'm called to help people, and especially women, achieve their vibrant visions by building their confidence. So the next one is, I will, once I learn this or have this certification or have this degree, I will apply for that job. I will ask for that person's business. And I did this a lot when I was building my coaching business. I was like, okay, I'm going to tell people I'm a coach once I complete Essentials of Life coaching. And then once I complete coaching skills development, and then once I complete coaching skills mastery, and it just went on. And I never told anybody that I was a coach because I didn't feel like I was qualified. And I didn't really believe that who I was and what I brought to the table and the experiences and the personality and the skills that I had developed while coaching in those classes were enough to change people's lives. But that was a lie. They were. And so a lot of times people will say, well, I can't do group coaching until I do the group coaching course, or I can't apply for that job until I actually have the graduate degree or the complete the dissertation or do whatever needs to be done to make me feel like I'm qualified. I need to feel like I'm qualified. The next one is, I'll be ready when I have more money. And one of my favorite quotes is, don't tell me where your priorities are. Tell me where you spend your money, and I'll tell you what they are. And that's by James W. Frick. And I always remember that when I'm thinking about, oh, I don't have the money. I don't have the money to invest in this. What's your priority, Amanda? Because a lot of times we tell this story so that we don't have to invest in something that's scary. I have money for piano lessons. Well, that would mean that I would have to dedicate the time to practice. And I don't want to do that, right? Or I don't have the time for dance lessons. I don't have the money for dance lessons. Wow. You just don't want to get out there because you feel like you have to lose weight, right? We have all these excuses that kind of climb on top of each other. A lot of times when we say we don't have the money, we have 13 streaming subscriptions, 1 million subscribe and saves on Amazon because it's really easy to click that subscribe and save button, right? And we spend $7 a day on coffee. The fact is that we have the money. We just don't want to say that we have the money because that means that we would actually have to do something and, put your money where your mouth is. When I'm prepared. Oh, I love this excuse. It's wonderful, right? I'll do that when I'm prepared. When I know exactly what to do and say, then I can guarantee my success. And that is, frankly, a lie. Because the truth is, you and I have the resources because we are resourceful enough to figure it out as we go. If we run into something that we don't know, then we're going to figure it out. We'll go ask for advice. We'll do some Googling because Mother Google knows everything, right? Are we ever really prepared? Because I work with veterans and I've worked with veterans who've been in combat situations. And I remember one time I was making a plan with one of my coworkers and I was like, okay, I think we got this plan. It's going to be awesome. And he goes, yeah, the best plans survive the first shot. And then they get shot all to hell. And I was like, what? And it was true. Our plan was shot all to hell, but it worked out great. And that was one of my biggest lessons is, plan so that you don't plan to fail, but then just know that you're going to be moving to plan B very quickly. And so being prepared is kind of an illusion. And just know that you're capable of figuring it out. You don't have to be completely prepared. The next one, I don't feel ready. And I'll do that when I feel more confident. This one always makes me laugh, right? Because it is my bread and butter. And it's something that I'm extremely passionate about because it's like saying, I'm going to go to the gym when I have bigger muscles. When I get fit, I'll go to the gym while somebody's sitting on the couch eating a pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream, right? Because they just don't want to admit that they've got to go to the gym and put themselves out there, and maybe they don't have big muscles. I don't have big muscles yet, but I do know that if I want big muscles, that I've got to go downstairs, pick up the weights that sit next to my elliptical, and do some biceps curls. And I'm not going to get muscles by not doing the thing. And the same thing goes for confidence. Because confidence is something that we build by taking action. We can't build it by just wishing it would show up. Because confidence comes when you step out of your comfort zone, do something that's uncomfortable, and then learn that, again, you are just as capable of handling that as the next person. And also, no, failure will not kill you. So now that we know how I'm not ready shows up, how do we overcome it? How do we get past this so that we are no longer procrastinating on the life that we want? When you saw the title of this podcast, chances are you thought of something in your life that you've been saying, I'm not ready to do. Maybe it's that business you want to start or grow, or that book that has just been inside of you for years and years, or that degree, or, that song you want to learn to play, or that job you want, but you don't feel qualified for, but it's getting ready to open soon. Lean into whatever that thing is right now as we start breaking down how to overcome this so that you can get rid of this confidence killer and stop procrastinating on your dreams. So first, let's start with a few truths. These are hard truths. Number one, feeling ready is an illusion. It's like the card game my friend and I used to play when we were kids, where he would switch a card and you would think, wow, how did he do that? It's just something we think needs to happen. Like we thought that card was an ace, right? We think it needs to happen, but it doesn't. So how can I say that? Since this feels so stinking real to you, right? Waiting until you are skilled enough or knowledgeable enough or confident enough is, I'm sorry, it's just an excuse, because how are you getting more skilled if you don't practice? And how are you getting more confident if you don't take action and put yourself out there? And how can you get more knowledgeable if you don't learn what you need to learn by getting out there and doing it? And then there's my favorite. I'll start on Monday or next week or next month or when the new year comes back around. When this podcast is being released is March 29th. And let's say that I have a goal of practicing my keyboard for 15 minutes a day. If I say, oh, I'll start that on April 1st, I will have forfeited 45 minutes of practice time just in the name of procrastination alone. Do you know how many licks I could learn on the keyboard in 45 minutes? I don't know, maybe one. But if I'm really feeling motivated and focused, I could learn 3 or 4 really, really well. So let me be very clear. Not feeling ready is not the same as this is not the right time. I've told you a few times about how last year I set a goal to go back to grad school, and it just was not the right time. I was buying a house, I was starting a new job, I was moving to a new city. I had just ended a really hard relationship, and it was just not the right time. And if you're in a really busy season, maybe you have little kids at home or you're caring for your aging parents, it might not be the right time. For example, my grandparents had to move in with my parents for a month while grandpa was recovering from not 1, but 2 brain surgeries. And it was not the right time for my mom to pick back up her painting hobby. But they moved back home and they're thriving in their own home and they're doing really well. And so now my mom can pick up her painting hobby and she is a painting fool. Oh my goodness. I know I'm going to have stuff all over my house that my mom painted, and I'm really looking forward to it because she was able to pick it up in the right season. So wisdom is knowing whether this is the right season or not. If this is truly not the right season, that's okay. But don't confuse intentional delay with procrastination. So the next truth is research is not action, usually. I have a friend who wanted to learn to play the banjo. She was a huge bluegrass fan, and she just thought learning to play the banjo would be the coolest thing ever. Don't judge me by the quality of my friends. Just kidding. I enjoy me some banjo music once in a while. So she would spend hours watching people play banjo on YouTube videos, watching people do the restringing of the banjo maintenance. She would go to music stores and hang out with people who played banjo. She would go to concerts, and maybe once in a while she would pick up her banjo. But she was doing lots of research. And how good do you think she got at banjo? Yeah, you guessed it. She is not going to be playing with Alison Krauss anytime in the near future. So knowing these truths doesn't mean that you automatically feel ready, that being ready is an illusion, and that research doesn't constitute being ready, and that you don't have to delay because you feel like maybe starting on Monday would be a better solution for you. So how do we overcome this so that not feeling ready doesn't stop you in your tracks? So the first step is to visualize the outcome of not taking the action. So a lot of times people tell you to visualize the outcome of taking the action and how good that's going to feel. And yeah, it feels pretty good, right? But here's the trick with visualization. Sometimes when you visualize the outcome that you want, you already get the reward. So your brain is like, sweet, we already got the reward. We can sit back and coast. with our Ben & Jerry's ice cream, and it is sweet. So visualize the outcome of not taking action. What would happen if you continue to do nothing? Or if you're like my friend, if you just continue to watch YouTubes on that project instead of picking up that instrument or that paintbrush or that hammer or whatever it is that you need to pick up to actually do the thing. How good are you going to be? How good of a writer are you going to be if you just sit there and go to writers' conferences and take classes and never sit down at the keyboard and actually write a word? Just write a page. How many books are you going to have published? Or how many songs are you going to learn if you never pick up your guitar? If you're just like watching these guys jam out on their amps. What does it look like if you don't take action? What changes? Sometimes it's nothing. Nothing changes, right? But sometimes there's a cost and a price that we pay, and that is that our confidence deteriorates. Our self-efficacy deteriorates because we don't believe in ourselves anymore because it's like, well, I said I was going to, but then I didn't. And so we don't have any integrity with ourselves. And so we lose self-trust. And the longer you procrastinate, your motivation wanes because the law of diminishing intentions says that the longer you wait on something, the easier it is to just continue to put it off. So you'll be sitting on the couch with Netflix on a Saturday night instead of opening your first art show. That's tough. So take some time to picture what life is going to be like if you keep waiting until you have the right time, or until you feel ready, until you're confident, until you lose weight, and then figure it out. What would life be like if you just started taking action? If you sat down and wrote one page on your book, or picked up your paintbrushes and painted one thing, or just played a few chords. Because once you get started, that momentum will help you. But you've got to get past your own inertia first. So think about what would change in 3 months, or 6 months, or 1 year if you took one little action today, and then let that momentum carry you through. The next step is to embrace your identity as a beginner. On a call for the coaching school that I attended, we were talking about our biggest wins and our biggest lessons over 2021. And my friend shared this. She says, I don't need to be afraid to be a beginner. I don't have to have it all figured out. And I think that was a lesson that I didn't even realize I had as well. I started a job in a brand new VA facility. And there's a joke. Once you've been to one VA, you've been to one VA. No VA is the same. So I transferred from Tucson to Grand Junction. I started a brand new job in a field I had virtually no experience in. And I had to train these people. And I don't know how many times I said, I'm the new girl. Can you help me learn this? And you know what? People gave me lots of grace. And they continued to educate me. And I soaked it up like a sponge. And now I'm not a beginner. But I wasn't afraid to be a beginner, to say, hey, can you teach me? Can you show me? Don't be afraid to fail your way forward to success. I failed a lot last year in my new job. I did. I was like, whoa, that did not work well. But then go back and reassess and say, okay, I learned something. Because this is really the learning process. And it's a beautiful thing. So when you feel I'm not ready, just say I'm a beginner. And know that it's not going to be perfect. None of my podcast episodes have ever been perfect. If you really want to know how imperfect they were, I'll send you one before my virtual assistant edited it, because she does a great job at this, praise God, because otherwise it would just be a hot mess. And they don't have to be perfect. They just have to make a difference, because that's the whole point. The next step is start today. One of my favorite stories in the Bible is when the Israelites were getting ready to take the promised land and they needed to cross the Jordan River. It was in their way. It was flowing quickly because it was flooding. It was time of the harvest and they had no way through. There was no bridge. They didn't have a boat, nothing. And God told the priests to take the Ark of the Covenant and go stand in the water, this fast flowing water. Go stand in the river. And they could have said, I'm not ready. God, you know what? There's a river. I don't know if you've noticed this, but there is a giant river at flood stage in our way. So there's just no way we can wade across this thing because it is running high. They said, okay. They didn't say, we're not ready. Just, okay. And the waters stood up and they were able to cross. So could it be that you just need to take the first step and that water will stand up? That obstacle will move out of your way. You don't have to know how. You don't have to know how the obstacle is going to move, how the water is going to part. You just have to have a little bit of faith that as you start stepping forward, that you will figure out how to move those obstacles out of your way. So to recap, first, assess what would happen if you didn't change anything. Picture it, visualize it, go deep with this. This is a powerful motivator, but it's also something that will help you see what you don't want. What's going to change if you don't take action? If you just continue to say, I'm not ready, or I will once I lose weight, feel confident. And then don't be afraid to be a beginner, because beginning is where we all start out. We're all beginners in this life. You know, like my friend was telling me she really admired something that somebody could do with just no effort at all. And I challenged her and I said, do you think you started out that way? No. We all start out as beginners. So don't be afraid to be a beginner. Instead of saying, I'm not ready yet, just say, I'm a beginner. And then start today. Take that first step today. Maybe it's little. Maybe it's just opening a Word document or buying a canvas or tuning your guitar or playing the first few chords of a song or, you know, drafting an email, but not sending it and having somebody look over it or asking somebody to review your resume. Whatever that first step into the Jordan is, take it because those waters are gonna stand up. And if you don't feel ready, that's okay. You don't have to feel ready to be ready because your feelings are just that, feelings. They are not reality, and your emotions and your thoughts do not define who you are. So you can be ready and still not feel ready. And if you want help with this, please feel free to book a call on my calendar. I would be glad to talk you through feeling ready and getting ready and what that preparation looks like and how you can overcome this. Whatever specific situation you have, we can talk about it. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this episode and if you think somebody else would enjoy it too, would you just do me a favor? Would you share it with them? Maybe you feel like you want to drop it on a social media channel. That'd be wonderful. If you could just share it, that would really help me get the word out. And if you feel so inclined, if you could just leave a review, And if you feel like you really want to help me out, you could leave a review in Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. That helps me reach people that I don't even know. So thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next week where we will continue beating procrastination. Thank you.